Hey, what's up, La Familia? You crazy football-loving nutters. This is Ray Hudson, and you are luxuriating in listening to the Inter Miami podcast with the stupefyingly magnificent Jay and Alex. Two lads who are as electrifying as a hairdryer thrown into a hot tub. Stay tuned, because you know what it's going to be. It's going to be magisterial with an amplifier.
To the left, Pellegrini, inside, Pizarro Golazo, Here's the goal scorer, Morgan, and he's done it again! Lewis Morgan with a second of the match! Higuain will have the goal! He's framed the top 90! It's a sensational first goal for Gonzalo Higuain!
Man, it literally only takes me like 10 to 15 seconds of Mark Anthony to get in the whole vibe for an Inter Miami podcast episode, buddy.
I don't know if the listeners even know that, Jay. You might have just gone ahead and done a sneak peek behind the curtains to everybody there.
Well, we don't have the money to pay the lawyers for copyright or trademark infringement, so we cannot play that song to the listeners, but that's kind of how we get pumped up every episode with little Mark Anthony, baby. Welcome to the Inter Major League Soccer podcast. We're going to switch things up, do a little quarterly review. We will talk about the team a little bit, but it's going to be quite a bit about the Major League Soccer as a whole, as well as the U.S. men's national team. I'm sure whatever other random side topics we get into.
We're on a bootstrap budget here. You're absolutely right. We have to play tunes off the podcast just to make sure we don't get in trouble by the law.
Technically, we can play them for free on Spotify, but since like 80% of our listeners have iPhones, they really want to just be moments of silence, I assume.
But we're 100% sure we can play that shit off the recording and be totally fine.
Yes.
Which brings me a good time to go ahead and say,
to
our day oneers.
The can cracks are back for the day oneers. Welcome everyone to the Inter Miami podcast. I am Jay Kington, back alongside Mr. Alex Papa George. Before we get started, I do want to pass our well wishes, prayers, and sympathy to Christian Eriksen, his family, the Danish Football Federation, all of Denmark, all of the soccer sphere, football sphere, whoever is watching the Euro. I was actually watching that live. It was one of the more messed up things I've ever seen in my life. And, just want to express our well wishes, for Christian Eriksen and everyone who loves Christian Eriksen. And on a brighter note, because I've been away, I'm going to go ahead and say it. Go Chelsea, up the Chels, up the Blues. What a squad, what a squad, what a squad. Than Jim, suck it, losers. Chelsea is the best team in Europe, best team in the Premier League, even though the table doesn't say so. I'm going to go ahead and roll that out there. Shout out to Christian Pulisic. Shout out to Hershey, Pennsylvania, and shout out to every single one of you American football loving fans. The U.S. men's national team, such a big moment for Chelsea, such a big moment for the United States, as the announcers kept saying. Respect to Christian for throwing on that USA United States men's national team hoodie and giving that heartfelt statement that he just hopes that some young kid was watching and now has the belief and the courage to say, I can do something similar. So proud of that squad. But it's not about Chelsea. They have podcasts for that. We are going to be getting back into the MLS, man. But wanted to get that off my chest. It's been some time away from the mic, and I'm giddy. I'm going to give a little more volume on that. Go ahead again.
Bravo. I was missing that last week, Jay. There was something missing from the show, and that was...
Oh, shut up. Don't patronize me. I'm sure you had a blast without me.
Oh, we definitely did. But it looks like you got a nice tan. I'm surprised you made it back in one piece.
Always do, somehow.
I've seen you banged up a lot more than here today. I know you're riding a little bit of high at Chelsea here, jumping on the podcast. We wanted to bring it back old school style, and go ahead and say that this podcast is sponsored by Three Kings Home Brewery. We never did get to that brew. Did we ever, Jay? So don't hold that against us.
COVID is a bitch.
COVID is a bitch, and so is our team. That's why we went ahead and said, you know what? Let's just go ahead and do a podcast about everybody else.
I like that there's no pressure on me because I'm not going to stick to this excellent, amazing, spectacular script you've actually come up with for today. So I apologize for that, but I will be here to chirp in about random nonsense, I'm sure.
Well, just make sure to not do it about, in front of the mic as much as you just did there, sir. This show was actually a lot more fun to put together than recent episodes. Like Jay mentions, every time there is a win, which is very, very rare. We do like doing the show a lot more when some positivity is going around.
We definitely do. But to be fair, full disclosure, we all coming off a lovely lunch from Tequila Sunrise. So we are all lubed up and ready for this episode. So why don't you go ahead and give us a breakdown of what we're about to go through.
But you're right, dude. It's nice to be on a new timeline right now, Jay. Typically, we record this podcast on Monday evenings where we're a little bit tired from work. Today, not so much. I think we're well rested. How about you, sir?
Yeah, I feel good. I don't know. Well rested might not be the right word, but hey, we're here for it. Let's go.
Yeah, let's do it. Well, after 8 weeks of match play, we are about a quarter through the year, so we want to go ahead and put a podcast together to bring everybody up to speed on what is going down in the rest of Major League Soccer. First and foremost, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back, the fans. I know our stadium's open for the rest of the time during the season. Whether you show up or not is up to you, but it is nice to see the fans. Jay, I feel like sports is kind of like a good barometer of like where we are in society in COVID, because when we see fans in the stands, man, that's a good sign to me.
Most definitely. Can really not agree more. It's kind of like when you are like bending around that final turn in the race and like you see the finish line, right? So we see the fans coming back. We see Inter Miami. Of course, Florida lives a little bit more recklessly than the other 49 states, but hey, that's just the nature of being from Florida, I suppose. But it's great to see that full capacity. We can go to lunch like we just did with no mask. We can walk in any building with no mask. You're supposed to be vaccinated, but no one really even asks you nor presses you. But I'm not even going to do the research on what the CDC just released or anything like that. Every state's going to be different, but it is so nice to feel like, wow, we're finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel from this dark year and a half we've been put through. And of course, RIP to everyone that was lost in the pandemic, but it's just nice to finally feel like it's going to return to normal. Like, holy crap, man, we're finally there.
We're there. And I experienced that because I had my parents in town this last weekend from San Diego, where they say stuff is still relatively on the up and up. Definitely not as much as it is down here in South Florida. They got to experience life without a mask in about a year and a half. So they actually just left back to San Diego. And with that, I do say adieu. And it was a great seeing you. But yeah, true testament to how life is coming back. And life seems to be coming back and pumped into Chicharito, because Chicharito leads the MLS with 7 goals scored, featuring 1 hat trick this year against the New York Red Bulls. So this comes after a pretty pitiful season where I think, if memory serves me correctly, he just had 2 goals in 12 appearances. But this has led to Tata Martino saying that he does have a future with the Mexican national side, which it seems like Rodolfo Pizarro is not a part of.
Temporarily. For the moment, correct. But Pizarro's also been dealing with a little bit of an injury. But it is good to see Chicharito, after that abysmal first year, come in and really find his feet. And credit to him. I know that, I think we've spoken on this in the past, actually, but he had lost his grandfather, he was very close with. He was dealing with some mental health issues last season. And honestly, it sounds like he was in a dark place, but he really utilized this offseason to refocus on his craft and put in a lot of work. And I think that the whole league is now kind of put on watch, and we're seeing the results of that. So all credit to Chicharito. Really, happy to see him do well. Even though, obviously it's not an Inter Miami player. for anyone who loves the league and loves the sport, especially for all our listeners that are fans of El Tri, I'm sure they're very, very happy to see this. And just to preference how this episode is basically going to be a quarterly review of the MLS as a whole. So we're not going to talk about every single team. We're going to talk about the most important teams and storylines so far, but that's what we're going to be discussing throughout the episode.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and break down some storylines like we're talking about right now, some notable performances on both the club and the player side, as well as a look at the current standings, the way they sit today. What is this, June 13th, 2021, and a look at the U.S. men's national team, actually, as we are coming off of a huge victory against Mexico.
Huge.
Last week, I believe. I think that was Sunday last week.
Last week? Yeah, I mean, time is such a blur still due to the impacts of the pandemic, but yes. And then there was another game against Costa Rica we'll discuss, and of course, we have the Gold Cup coming up, Copa de America kicking off. We have the Euro currently kicked off. It is the summer of soccer. Hell, even the women's national team is playing exhibition games. I turned to Chloe and I said, hey, babe, I'm sorry. You're not going to enjoy this summer very much because it's going to be non-stop football on TV, and I'm going to be interested in every single little tidbit I can get.
We have a lot of action going on around the world. I think right now as we record this podcast, it's actually the Netherlands versus
Ukraine. Currently playing right now, yep.
2-0, actually, I believe it was when I went downstairs to collect another one of those great, Three Kings brews down there, sir. But no, following Chicharito's had a standout season, which again, applause for him coming back into the fold. Raul Rudy Diaz is actually playing fantastic again, even though he did not make Peru's national club, which is a big shocker, even though, the Seattle Sounders are pretty pumped about that. But he right now is standing second in the MLS with 6 goals scored. And as we bump out of kind of a couple of notable individual performances, let's go ahead and look back to the Columbus Crew, who has had a bizarre season, if I can go ahead and say that. It might be saying it very lightly, but the Columbus Crew did change their name to Columbus SC, and very similarly to what was the I can't even think of it right now. What was all the leagues trying to put together with Man U?
Oh, the Super League?
Yeah, the Super League. Very similar type of aspect like that. The fans fought back. They said, no, thank you, no gracias. That is not the way we want our club to look. So they did change their club back to the Columbus Crew, although they did leave that logo there, which Jay, what do you think of that new logo that they have?
I'm not a fan of it. I like the old school crest. I mean, I don't know why these teams are just coming out like, oh, let's rebrand. I don't know if it's just marketing to sell more merch or what the thing is, but like Chicago Fire is, that's like my son could literally draw a better crest for Chicago than the one they're currently using. I don't understand this, pick something classic from the rip like Inter Miami did. I really do honestly love Inter Miami's crest compared to the league. It's something that's just classic and timeless within the sport, and I think we're playing it very, very safe by going with that. I don't understand these changes. I don't even like the new logo, but I will say shout out to Columbus Crew. You boys just got that championship ring, I think, last week, sometime around then, and it's a nice looking ring, man. Nice, must be nice.
At that rate, go ahead and do whatever you want. But it was met with some backlash, so the team did change their name back to the Columbus Crew, and that's where it stands.
Good. Like the fans still have power in this.
Yeah,
they were vocal and they said, "Hey, we're not down with this. We love this club. We've been diehard with this club for years and years and years, and we don't like this change." And the cooler part is that the club actually listened. That they were willing to listen to their fans and revert back to the previous, at least, title of the team, but not so much the crest. But maybe that crest will grow on me. I doubt it, but I'm gonna leave the door open for a possibility of enjoying that crest.
We'll keep leaving that door open, and as this year continues to go on, so has the Seattle Sounders, where they're absolutely the best team in the league right now. Record stands as so, and definitely eyesight passes that test more than anything. The Sounders are playing fantastic. They are actually currently right now leading the Supporters Shield race with 18 points and a crazy 2.25 goal per game average, which is far wide and above higher than our 1 goal average. They were playing some great soccer out west, and it's honestly unfortunate that we're over here on the east side of the country and we don't get to see these teams out west play as much as we'd like. Those are the LAFCs, the Seattle Sounders, the Timbers, as well as the San Jose Earthquakes, who are playing pretty damn well thus far this year. So the Sounders and Nashville are actually the only 2 unbeaten teams remaining, although their records do look far wide different. The Nashville is actually sitting at what, Jay? I think that's a 7th place in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, they're 7th at 7 games played, 3 wins. Oh, sorry, I'm looking at Columbus Crew, Nashville. Sorry, yeah, 7 games played, 2 wins, 5 draws, 0 losses. So they're undefeated. They're playing a different style than what Seattle is playing. I mean, Seattle, you're right, is playing lights out, but like at the same time, and it's MLS, and literally anything can happen. I think what Seattle's last game was a draw against Atlanta United. Who beat us 1-0, and I could see a circumstance where we rise to the occasion against Seattle, but then drop the ball against, one of these other teams like a Chicago, like a Toronto or DC or New York Red Bulls. But anything's possible. But they've been playing the best football in the league, undoubtedly, up till this point.
Yeah, and fortunately for us, we don't have to play Seattle at all, I believe, during this campaign, if we can call it that, in 2021. We do play Portland, actually.
We have 2 games from the Western Conference. It's really strange to me that we don't have more.
Very odd, but Portland I know is one of them. I don't know what the other one is actually off the top of my head, but like we had said, Seattle and Nashville are the only 2
LA Galaxy teams. Was the other one. We already played them, yeah.
That was our first game, and that was an L on the foot of Chicharito starting his campaign, of which, like we had said, has 7 goals thus far. But other notable performances, Carlos Gil has created 5 goals and leads the MLS in assist. He's playing absolutely lights out, as well as Pedro Galisi and Joe Willis from the Houston Dynamo, keeping 4 clean sheets thus far this year. Big shout out to them, doing a great job. When we move into team performances, we're going to go ahead and start at Kansas City, who has 16 goals to their name. That does include their 1-1 tie against Austin last night. That was really, I think, the only game that was played this weekend, as the transfer window is open right now and teams are taking a little bit of a break.
And we're on the international break as well.
Yes.
For the Gold Cup and stuff of that nature. But everything will be resuming next weekend with our away game against DC and the other MLS teams that will be resuming as well. So it really is going to be a non-stop soccer fest for the next 2 months.
It's going to go ahead and be that. And yeah, like we talked about, there's a lot of world soccer going on. And to finish this off, before going ahead and taking a look at the standings as they sit right now, going to go ahead and shout out Montreal and Seattle again, who are tied for 14 assists. Montreal playing their year down here in our stadium, actually, because they cannot travel back up to Canada for travel restrictions due to COVID protocol. And of course, we had to throw our team in the mix. We do lead we do lead the league in one stat and one stat only. And yes, everybody could guess it. It is yellow cards. We have 20 on the year right now, everybody.
Oh, sorry, that was too loud. And that was the wrong one. It should be more like that. That's the one.
We might need an applause for that too, to be honest.
I mean, you got to put effort into it. I did not mean it to air horn. My hand hit that. That's my fault. That's my fault. That's on me. That's not even Alex. For the listeners, that was my fault.
It's fine. It's fine. People enjoyed the soundboard, dude. Just have fun with it.
Yeah, it was definitely the first request on the feedback that we asked for. It was more soundboard.
I mean, I don't know who that could have been.
And then my response was vulgar.
But those are some notable performances around the league with both club and players specifically. And let's go ahead and take a look at the standings right now as they sit. We, again, are coming to you on June 13th right now, question mark. But anyway, right now the Western what the Western Conference is sitting with the Seattle Sounders at that number 1 spot. They have been on fire so far this year. They are leading the Supporters Shield race, as we had mentioned, with 18 points this season and looking great. They are sitting 2 points above Sporting Kansas City and have not yet lost a match so far. So, they're doing great. Those players are playing excellent football. In these 8 matches, they were also able to secure 6 clean sheets. This shows how their defense is playing quality thus far this season and is not letting up anything on the back line. Although they've been playing great, fortunately for them, their last 2 matches have been held out for draws against Orlando United and Austin.
Atlanta United, yeah. Did you say Atlanta? Or maybe I'm losing it. But yes, correct. Yeah. Again, teams can play great, but especially like when it comes time to, the playoffs, these midseason struggles, like good to get them out now, but, keep an eye on this. Literally just watch this. They're playing very well, but I could honestly see a situation where, like, if they go up against a New England Revs, where they could lose. It seems like they have games where they're not as productive as other games they've played, and then there's games where they just come out and really just dominate and control everything up and down the pitch. It's insanely impressive, but there's definitely an opportunity to expose that, I believe. Now, you mentioned something earlier, which is still blowing my mind. I know you mentioned to me at lunch, was that the fact that Rui Diaz, right? Raul Rui Diaz, he is their top goal scorer. He's got 6 goals so far this season. He sits second, only behind Chicharito in the league, who has 7 strikes to his name. But the fact that he was left off the Peruvian national team, like, blows my mind. Either there's something we don't know as far as injury or maybe unidentified talent on that team, but to leave out someone who has been a monster really since we started really, really heavily focusing on the league, which was almost 2 years ago. And this guy's been consistent. He's been a threat to any team that plays him. But apart from Rui Diaz, Ecuadorian Javier Arrega has also established himself as a great central defender, and he is crucial to the team playing 3 at the back consistently, which is honestly something that I would like to see Inter Miami doing a little bit more of. But he's been a breath of fresh air for the club, and they needed someone special to replace the likes of the Seattle legend, Ramon Torres, previously of Inter Miami in the first season, but also Chad Marshall. So it's very impressive to see kind of just the next man up and replenishing their roster over and over with talented players that can go out in there and get the result that you need.
Yeah, I mean, that's our blood in Chris Henderson right there coming over to Inter Miami. That is the culture, that is the team that he has established, and we're seeing how it's thriving even when he leaves, and that's the signal of an excellent team. And that's really the
now
model.
If we can just get
man,
somewhere close to that, we'll be all right. But
we got to cheat to be the 7th worst team in the league.
We got to cheat with 7 DPs, and we can't even freaking win our first playing round, man.
Yeah, man. And people like Rui Diaz not even making the national team. It's unbelievable. But shout out to Seattle for having an outstanding season so far. It's just fantastic.
Like they're perennial, man. It's
every
crazy.
year in and year out, you can bet your money on Seattle doing absolutely wonderful. And I mean, this brings us to really the second team in the Western Conference, which doesn't typically find itself up there if you're a historian of the Major League Soccer, and that's Sporting Kansas City. Sporting Kansas City has had an excellent start to their 2021 campaign, where they're currently sitting right now, Jay, with 17 points in the Western Conference, only behind the former mentioned Seattle Sounders. So similar to the New England Revolutions in the Eastern Conference, Sporting Kansas City has also experienced only 1 defeat this year, bro. So that's it, right? Nashville and Seattle are the only teams without any losses, whereas Sporting Kansas City and the New England Revolution only have 1 defeat to their name thus far this year, which that defeat, in case if you're wondering, was at the feet of the Houston Dynamo, which we'll get to Houston in a little bit here because they're had an outstanding campaign as well.
They've been playing phenomenally, and I kind of view Sporting KC and Minnesota United, although Minnesota's had a really bad start to the season, but specifically like towards the last year, they're kind of in that Toronto FC category. But again, Toronto's had a pretty sketchy start to this season as well. But these are teams that have a lot of really good players, but kind of live in that middle no man's land, like up on the upper echelon of that between like being a bad team or I mean, that's not fair, but like a regular team and one of the great teams. And they're right there in that threshold. And this will be a season to watch because they could honestly break through that and then be a bigger force next year, making their name in the league. But there's a few teams that are right hovering in that area of literally being perennial, like Seattle Sounders, where you know they're going to be good every year. And it's fun to watch, specifically for me, Toronto, Kansas City, and Minnesota, all right around that. And if they can just find the extra pieces to break through, then they're literally, I mean, they could be no stopping them, honestly.
The major difference that I see, sir, is the fact that Toronto FC, right, the team that we're comparing right now, has won a cup. They won a cup in 2017.
But to be fair, they've also been in the league longer, so they've been more established and able to build up that program.
Regardless the way you look at it, Sporting Kansas City is no one to look away from. This club right now is going to make a run at the MLS Cup, and they kind of remind me a little bit of, in very different ways of Columbus, right? Columbus was a team that was going to control the ball. They were going to play a very stouty defense, and they were probably going to win 1-0 last year. That's the way that they played. Sporting Kansas City is another one of those teams that's just coming out of nowhere from these last few years in the MLS, and they're doing this quite differently. Right now, Jay, actually on some statistics right here, they have the most goals scored in the MLS with 15 to their name this season. This club has managed to score 3 games in a match 4 times, which is the most by any club, which I think, bro, I think we've had 2 games in our entire franchise's history where we've scored 3 goals or more, and one being this year against Cincinnati. So hats off to KC.
I think twice. I think about Orlando and then Cincinnati.
Yeah, those
and to put that in perspective,
those are the 2 games right there.
Excuse me. Goals for Inter Miami this season are at 8, so they're almost double that.
Yeah, I mean,
but they're making improvements every year, and once they get it all figured out, they're going to be a serious threat in this league.
Yeah, I mean, they've been playing great, and I mean, this is a club that, unlike Miami, did not have the glitz and the glamour. This is a Kansas City who most people probably think is in Kansas, but is not. It's in Missouri, actually, shocker enough, which is actually kind of the craziest
It's right
part.
On the border, though.
Yeah, but
There's
it's still
West
technically in Missouri. So the way that we look at this team is definitely a force to be reckoned with out of the Western Conference. This team is one to keep an eye on, and unfortunately for them, they have a little bit of a shaky back line to go ahead and let some goals in. That's definitely their weak spot, but they're definitely that running gun team that's going to go ahead and look to outscore you.
And that's exciting to watch. I mean, their top goal scorer is Alan Pulido. He's got 5 goals, and Pulido is set to make his mark for the Mexican international team at the World Cup. So a lot of hype and potential there. He's one of the kind of same category as Pizarro, like one of the hotter up and coming Mexican stars. There's also, they have the super talented 19-year-old Gianluca Busio. He's perhaps the next big thing in American soccer. Like, keep an eye on this kid. You're starting to see these names blow up on the U.S. men's national team, and he could very well be the next. And judging by that name, I'm going ahead to guess at Italian descent. Maybe split citizenship, but look forward to that. He's a young midfielder. He's slowly adding goals to the game, and he's already scored 2 this season, the same amount he managed to score in the entirety of the previous season. And as expected, the world has their eyes on him, and he's attracting huge interest from Italian Serie A clubs because that's kind of the new trend. Is we're seeing these players go from academies to maybe a brief stint in the MLS, but mainly going over to Europe now. And a lot of them are getting over into the European academies, which is just spectacular to see. But keep an eye on Gianluca Busio. He literally could be the next Gio Reyna, the next Christian Pulisic, Weston McKennie, Serginho Dest. I mean, I could go on and on. But very, very impressive from the young American.
I believe he's only 19 years old too, so super young when it comes to it, and that's probably one of the brightest spots of our U.S. men's national team is just how young. I think we're averaging 24.
The youth,
years old or something like that.
The youth is phenomenal on that. I mean, and we'll get into this, but like you look at these games, man. Weston McKennie or like Gio Reyna. And Gio Reyna is literally 18 years old. Insane. Can you imagine me 18? You know what I was doing at 18? I can't even say it on this microphone because it was illegal, and or my parents would be very disappointed if they ever heard that.
You were listening to Eminem in your fucking basement.
Bro, at that point I was like 3-6 Mafia, classic like Drought 3 Lil Wayne. Like no. Like, and these people are these young kids are coming up and just balling out at a young age. It is a beautiful, beautiful thing to see.
Which is honestly a true testament to how U.S. soccer has grown over the years.
Progressing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that our country as a whole, if you are listening in the United States, if not, because we do have listeners all over the world. What was that, Jay? I think 55 different countries. So if you're coming with us, Ghana, Ireland, Italy, where else, Jay? Hit me with this.
Shoot, dude. India, Suriname, Guatemala,
the North
Mexico,
Pole,
dude,
something.
everywhere.
I mean,
we could literally run through this if we really wanted to. And I'm pretty sure
we don't need to run through this.
We're in 49 states out of 50. I'm pretty sure the one that's not is one of the Dakotas.
I'm
so
thinking
whoever
Hawaii. Why would Hawaii care? Hawaii's chilling on the beach, bro.
No, Hawaii is a listener. I'm telling you, it's one of the Dakotas, or it's like Wyoming.
Okay. Well, as Jay goes ahead and looks at our...
I'm not doing that math, so don't even count on that, buddy. Sorry.
There's no way you figure this out in the next 60 seconds. I'm
going to figure it out. Hell no.
All right, then put your keyboard away. I'm going to unplug this thing. But no. All right, as Jay continues to do quick math or quick searching, and oh man, you're bringing out the hard drive like that. This thing is an archaic piece of shit, everyone.
This is old faithful. This is what launched the podcast. This computer launched the damn podcast. Show some respect. Put some respect on this MacBook Pro's name from 2010.
Can I go?
No.
Because if you're not a part of the Discord, you wouldn't have heard that Jay actually got rid of his squeaky ass chair, which I've known this man for about 7 years, I'd say about now. And I've worked on this chair. Chloe's worked on this chair. I'm pretty sure Quinn's worked on this chair. But nobody has been able to figure out why in the hell does this thing squeak. We've had WD-40. We've done everything.
I was right. It's North Dakota. Damn you, you North Dakotans. Give us one listen. Fill out the 50 states. Do you call them North Dakotans? I don't know. As Fargo is in North Dakota, I think, but I honestly don't know.
Do we have to drive through North Dakota and like play my podcast?
I'm going to just send some stickers up to North Dakota. Just get one listen and I'll be happy.
Anyway, to get back to my story, Jay got rid of his squeaky ass chair, man, and I could not be any more thrilled. Everyone's like, oh, what squeaky ass chair? Dude, this thing was like a scene out of a goddamn horror movie, bro. This thing is like something that you would trip up on in Halloween and just not let your little 3-year-old go up to. It was that creepy.
Oh my God.
And Quinn's been having to live with this shit for the most...
Quinn's loved it. Okay.
No, even Quinn hates it. He's told me. He
walked up to me and said, shout out Namibia, shout out Nigeria, shout out Guyana. I could go through all 55 if you really wanted me to.
Again, this is a bonus episode. If y'all listening by now,
shout out South Korea. Shout out BTS, baby.
Number ones. But anyway, let's get back to the MLS here. Sitting at number 3 in the Western
Shout out
Conference.
Vietnam.
We shout out Vietnam quite a few times, actually.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, right, Vietnam actually might be our second biggest support group. But
let's pull it together.
we are pulled together, sir. Looking ahead, the LA Galaxy. The LA Galaxy actually, oddly, as I'm looking at this, have a higher goal per game average, which is interesting than Sporting Kansas City, although Sporting Kansas City does lead the league in goals scored and are ahead of them in points. But Sporting Kansas City averages 1.89 goals per game, whereas the LA Galaxy averaged 2.14. And Local fans to the Fort Lauderdale, Miami area have seen all too much of the LA Galaxy this year, where they handed us our first defeat of the year in a comeback victory at the foot of Chicharito Hernandez, which really started his campaign, and they have not slowed down.
We're a good team to start your campaign on, right?
I was gonna say, I was like, if you want to start a run, this is definitely the club.
What was it? You telling me that you were looking like the DC United Reddit, and they're like, oh, at least we play Miami next. Like, damn, man, just that's the reputation right there. Like, if you're having a rough start, you look forward to your Miami game.
Yeah, what was that? I was on the DC. I like to get a little sneak peek to what the fans are thinking about their club before we play. I mean, I was on DC United, and I think they were on like a 2 or 3 game losing skid, and there was a bunch of injuries that were going on, and someone posted, they were like, yeah, but at least we got into Miami next.
Yeah, right. Great. I'm glad we can at least provide some people with a sense of joy.
Yeah, unfortunately for us, that is sadness on our end. But the LA Galaxy sit 3 points currently behind Seattle in the Western Conference on the other side of Kansas City. LA Galaxy have won 5 and lost 2 matches this season, where both of their losses were absolutely annihilations. 3-0 against Seattle and the Portland Timbers, so pretty tough teams out in the West. However, they have not dropped any more points apart from those losses. So good for them. They have gone ahead and played good football this entire year. We heard that Chicharito was going to have a comeback season, and boy, has he ever. The impact of Greg Vanney cannot be understated, as well as a legendary MLS defender, has made the Galaxy much more resilient and reaching their past glory, which I do believe, Jay, fun fact about the MLS, I think they have 4 championships. Yeah, DC United and LA Galaxy have 4 MLS Cups to their name, so they are trying to bring back the glory days, as we may say, which we are still trying to create ourselves. And unfortunately for the Galaxy, which seems like a problem for us, they concede goals all too easily. They have conceded 11 goals thus far this season, which is the second highest after San Jose, which is super surprising because I would have thought that it would have been us. But for some reason, we're holding on to 0 and 1 goal games, and that does not put us last in that statistic. But anyway, Jay, what do you see out of the Galaxy thus far this year?
Very talented team. I mean, it's very the glaring obvious point, right, is Javier Hernandez, aka Chicharito. He's the top scorer for LA Galaxy. He's got 7 goals, right, leads the league. But Chicharito he's also the top scorer. I already said, but in the MLS this season. But he used to play for Manchester United. Like, this dude is legit, right? He made his name in the 2010 World Cup. Him and I think it was Gio dos Santos at the time were really the 2 up and coming stars. But it looks like he might have a solid chance to really lead Mexico's front line in the 2022 World Cup. Would be very impressive. The other really notable player is Bond, Jonathan Bond, not James, but their goalkeeper's been playing lights out, phenomenal. Has had some exceptional performances in goal, and I really think that he could be a vital piece going down the road. But even, I mean, outside of that, right? Like they have they have a lot of talented players, like Ethan Zubak, who is playing a phenomenal season. You look at Sebastian Lletget, who you can see him at LA Galaxy, you see him on the men's national team, stud player. I mean, like Sasha, even old Sasha Kljestan is having a solid impact over there. They seem to really have everything ironed out quite well. And then I'd be remiss if I'm going to shout out Chicharito, but not Jonathan dos Santos, who scored that nice little finisher, ripped his shirt off. They're a really good team, and LA Galaxy has been struggling. I would really say they've been struggling going back to the Beckham days. Honestly, I mean, I even with Zlatan, they just weren't really able to get a cup win or anything like that. But they're finally starting to, after it's just like the stock market, it's just like crypto, man. You know, it goes up, goes down, consolidates, gets its stuff together, and then trends back up. trends back up. But again, I mean, like Victor Vasquez, like they have so many good players on this team. Definitely one to watch. Now, can they dethrone a Seattle outright for the Supporter Shield, or will this be more of can they dethrone them in like the MLS Cup? We will see what happens, but I'll tell you one thing: if Chicharito can keep his goal scoring madness up at this level, then there will be a serious contender to win everything in this league.
Yeah, I don't know if Seattle's taking their foot off the gas anytime soon, but we're going to go ahead and have to see if the LA Galaxy can keep this up over the longevity of the season. I mean,
well, they don't play Inter Miami, so they can't really let their foot off their gas.
Well, they already took their 3 points against us, so I think they're already through. But, no, they are keeping their foot on the gas, and sitting behind them are the Colorado Rapids, which, again, is one of those clubs that is a little bit of a blast from the past, has not been doing too well in the MLS, but they did win the 2010 MLS Cup, so good for them. And it's been about a decade since they've had any glory. So sitting at the 4th spot, the Colorado Rapids. And the other team that I look at outside of Colorado, who's really had a bang-up year, if you're looking at last year in particular, is really the Houston Dynamo. I mean, both Colorado and the Dynamo are playing absolutely outstanding, where last year they were sitting at the bottom of the table pretty much all year. Well, Houston's sitting in the 5th spot, as well as Colorado sitting in the 4th. And then go ahead and trailing them are the San Jose Earthquake, who I believe... yes, they have given up the most goals. Actually, no, that can't be right because Cincinnati's given up the most goals thus far this year. So San Jose not doing so bad.
I can tell you right now. Cincinnati. Yep, Cincinnati's the leader.
Yep, Cincinnati is the leader. That's
they're tied for worst in the Western Conference at 12, tied with Houston Dynamo, who, interesting, I mean, because Houston's had a pretty decent season, but both, as far as away goes, go 12 apiece.
Well, both of them actually have had pretty good years if you look at it. I mean, sitting at the 5th and 6th spot right now, they're sitting in the playoffs. So that's a little bit of an odd way that the league's going to match up. But hey, so is as it is written. And then following San Jose is sitting in the Portland Timbers, followed by Real Salt Lake. And then sitting there in the 9th seed, very odd to see them there as a LAFC. I know a lot of people were actually taking them at the beginning of the year to win the Supporters Shield. I know they've been banged up with injuries. It seems like a common theme throughout the MLS, but their team in particular has definitely been banged up with injuries, and they really just haven't been able to figure it out all year out west. They're definitely being overshadowed by their neighbor, the LA Galaxy. So, we'll see if the LAFC...
Well, they had their run, though. They really, I mean,
well, this team is still very, very good.
Yeah, they are, but everything comes back to reality, right? They had their dominance, I would say, outside of Zlatan. Like, there were kind of dark days there with the LA Galaxy. So LAFC had their fun. I'm not saying the fun's over, but I'm saying, the other team in the city is back to their form. So now you really are going to have to play well if you want to sit there and say, like, hey, we run LA, or we are the team in LA. Now there's a real high level of competition.
I think that this city is going to be a battle for years to come.
Oh, it's going to be. El Tráfico is going to be one of the staples of the MLS for the foreseeable future.
This battle, and it only got more hype in because you're right. When you keep bringing in these big names like, Ibra and Chicharito and Diego Rossi and Carlos Vela.
David Beckham, baby. Shout out David Beckham.
And people like this, it's only going to add to an incredible rivalry. We only hope if Inter Miami can get to that level,
That's what we want to be, right? Like that, we want to be the team drafting the big names that can produce. And right now we're the team drafting the big names, and we're out here. We're playing. We ain't winning.
I mean, you look at Mark Anthony Kaye. I mean, you look at this team,
Canadian stud,
from the top to the bottom. I mean, blessing. The team is absolutely loaded. They just haven't been able to figure it out. So for them, for their sake, right? We don't play them this year. Fortunately for us, they were actually our first ever match as a franchise. Went ahead and played them. We lost 1-0 at the foot. I think it was Rossi, who chipped.
No, it was Vela.
It was Vela over
And it was
Robles.
He was
a
off his
beautiful
line.
shot, though.
Yeah,
it was a beauty.
That was just a slight mental error by Robles that led to that. Yeah, no, a beautiful, beautiful shot. And I mean, also shout out Bob Bradley, one of the best coaches in the league. Used to coach the men's national team. He will be the coach of the MLS All-Star Liga MX All-Star game, which will be happening on August 25th, if I'm not mistaken. So he will be leading MLS to take down probably the much more higher compensated as a team Liga MX. But keep an eye on that.
Yes, and we did have.
And one more thing, sorry to do this one more time to you. But if you have a ESPN Plus, they have a 10-part series on LAFC's second season, either first or second season. I can't remember off top. Third season, maybe
3 years ago.
Yeah. So okay. So yeah, that would be the first or second. Really, really good. If you have ESPN Plus, check that out. I want to say it's called like Take It All or something, but I honestly cannot remember. But go to the soccer section, you'll find it really, really cool if you want to see a club in their early expansion phases, figuring everything out.
Yeah, you're right. You actually told me to watch that. I think it was last year or 2 years ago or something like that. You had told me to do that. And it was, absolutely one of those things that you want to go ahead and check out if you're an MLS fan.
I'll tell you right now. It is. Nope, I won't tell you right now. Continue. Sorry.
Got some poor internet connections, sir. But anyway, LAFC sitting in the 9th seed right now. Do expect them to bump up a little bit as the standings and the table continue to shake up a little bit. But sitting behind them is expansion team Austin. And that is where Mr. Ben Sweat does reside. Shout out Ben. Sounds like he's nursing. I think it was a torn ACL, Jay. I think it was a torn MCL, ACL, something like that. Probably. He is a friend of the podcast, so watch your mouth. But no, he was a big supporter of the podcast, and we definitely wish him luck at Austin. They are sitting in 10th right now in the Western Conference, followed by Vancouver, Minnesota, and unfortunately for Dallas, Dallas is sitting in the last place. They have a less goal per average than us, which is pretty damn hard to do. They're sitting at right now 0.86, which that's pretty tough.
They've got 8 goals for 11 against. We have 8 goals for 13 against. So
yeah, they have been.
It's called We Are LAFC, by the way.
We Are LAFC. Yeah. Check that out if you're an MLS fan.
Dope. I get it. We're all Inter Miami fans here, but check it out. It really is. It's cool. It's well shot.
No, check it out. We're all MLS fans here too, some of us. But no, dude, check it out. It is pretty, as the kids say, tight. Pretty tight. Pretty tight.
Is that what the kids say?
Pretty tight.
The kids say pretty tight.
It's pretty tight right there.
You're keen with the little kids over in London.
Hip, 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 hip.
Fuck.
Cheerio. Anyway, sitting in Dallas, last place in the league. The big eyes are sitting at Franco Jara, who is $3 million man, which actually doesn't sound that bad to Inter Miami ears. Just sounds like another player who isn't playing in the MLS as well as they used to play. So,
yeah, fun fact, J's are silent in Spanish. Jara. It's like an H.
I like Jara.
I know you do.
I might name my new dog Jara.
Okay.
Did I tell you I was going to get a dog?
No, you shouldn't get a dog. This man bought cats. He bought 2 cats and
Bengal cats.
He returned them within a week, and now he wants to get a dog, which requires much more attention.
2
cats
weeks.
are self-sufficient.
2 weeks.
Okay.
And they're Bengal cats. It's an off-breed of a panther.
They're ocelots.
No, panther.
They're all, bro. Jeez. Okay.
Tiger.
Let's go to the Eastern Conference. What do the listeners think? Should we just move on to the Eastern Conference?
Bengal cats.
Okay, sure. Couldn't take care of them for more than a week. Anyway, moving forward, if you're brand new to this league, then you're probably unaware that In the Revolution is top of the East. They sit at the top. They got 17 points, 3 points ahead of the Philadelphia Union, who won the Supporter Shield last year. So very, very good. Philly had a little sketchy start. We are able to get a win on them, our rare win that we will get. Give it some applause. Why not? And we're going to end it because there's been nothing positive after that. But, again, very strong given the hiccup of performance against Chicago as well as Inter Miami, but against Chicago they drew 2-2. But after a little bit of a sketchiness, the Revs picked up form and won 5 of the next 7 matches. Their only defeat has come against Nashville SC, where they lost 2-0. That being said, rolling into this intermission, the Revs have won their last 3 matches against Columbus, New York Red Bulls, and Cincinnati. They've only conceded 1 goal in those 3 games.
Big shout out Revs. You don't think Lee Wynn's still on that team, do you?
I think he went to Ho Chi Minh City, right?
Oh, did he sign that agreement?
I believe so.
No shit.
I can find out for us in a few quick triggers.
Minute.
He went to Ho Chi Minh City.
Good for him. What's
Good
his
food
contract?
over there. I don't know.
Gotta say right there. Just type in salary.
It's probably unlimited pho and egg rolls, which I will work
Unlimited
for. Yeah, if anyone ever wants to
Shiba
hire me, I will
coin.
literally be paid in Shiba coin,
Shiba coin or Doge
free
coin?
pho, and free crispy egg rolls.
You do love pho. You always had the best pho name as a food truck. Pho wheel drive.
On faux wheels.
Pho wheel drive.
Or is it faux wheel drive?
Faux wheel
it was something
drive.
like that. It's something
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
the best one.
It's just tough because it looks like it's pronounced faux, but it's pho. So it's hard to rhyme with pho. And you know me, as the listeners do, I do come up with our punny titles. So sorry, distracted. Anyway, moving forward, their top scorer, and again, we're talking about who the fuck we're talking about? The Revolution. Their top scorer is Adam Buksa with 4 goals so far this season. Even though Robert Lewandowski looks to be the man up top for the Polish national team, Buksa is trying his best to give the Bayern Munich star competition for the striker's position. And good job at that. Good job dethroning the Lewandowski, who won a Ballon d'Or, which is the best European player for like the only player to not do it outside of Leo Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo over like the past, 12 years, something absolutely ridiculous. And of course, Carlos Gills recently signed a contract extension with the New England Revs, stating the best is yet to come from him. The Spaniard has averaged 3.5 expected assists per game, managing the most key passes in the division. That would be 45, and has created 7.2 passes per 90, leading to shots, proving his quality as perhaps the best playmaker in the division. Only because Mateus Pellemesi is not technically playing in the MLS.
Did I see that correctly? That he was wearing an Inter Miami jersey again?
Hey, there's rumors. Do you want to do this now, man? I mean, I got rumors for days, bro. Rumors, Rodolfo's leaving for Chivas in Liga MX. He's returning there. That would free up 1 spot. That would mean we could either bring Mateus Pellegrini back or go out there and sign some old retired football like Dirk Kuyt.
That's all the rumors you got?
We could sign Andre Pirlo. We could sign Frank
Messi.
Lampard, Steven Gerrard, probably.
Beckham could come down.
We could probably sign Ronaldinho wherever
Neville
he
out
is.
there.
What?
Neville?
Bring
out his son.
We could probably sign Gary.
What was it? Dan has a good theory where he just says that we should just drop everybody from the senior club and just throw everybody on from Fort Lauderdale CF. Or was that you? Oh, my bad.
that was my
Was that
theory.
you? Oh,
we
my
dropped
bad.
everyone from the team except Lewis Morgan and
Lunch
Gregory.
was a little rough.
Drop everyone except for Lewis Morgan and Gregory, and then promote all of Fort Lauderdale CF. Because you know what? Fort Lauderdale CF might not be the greatest team in the 3rd tier division of American soccer, but I'll tell you what, at least they play as a team.
Yeah, and you know who else plays as a team?
Not Inter Miami.
That he got him there, bud. But actually sitting at the number 2 slot in the Eastern Conference is a team that we have actually beat, which makes no fucking sense at all.
Makes perfect sense. We rise to the occasion at the greats, and then we just suck it up for the teams that aren't great.
Yeah, but we're also not beating the great teams anymore either. We've beaten Cincinnati and Philadelphia, which are 2 complete polar opposites.
I will say it again. It's not about championships. It's about friendships.
Well, Philadelphia is having a much better season than Inter Miami, although they did lose to Inter Miami. They're sitting the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference right now, where they are sitting 3 points behind the New England Revolution in the Eastern Conference with only 2 losses this season against New York City FC, and you guessed it, Inter Miami, which NYCFC is actually kind of an interesting team right there. They have a couple leading goal scorers, which has been pretty formidable. But anyway, talking about the Union, their last 3 matches have resulted in 3 wins, and yes, you guessed it, 3 clean sheets. So although Brendan Arison is no longer on the club where he joined RB Salzburg this last offseason, flourishing at the club as well as the national level, the Union are doing just fine.
They're holding their own. Yeah, they really are. I mean, they, to be fair to them, I'm not going to say luck, but our goals were basically kind of luck. We snuck out of Philly with a win, but I think everyone knew deep down that they were probably still the better team. But never sleep on them. Best players they have is Jamiro Montero. He's said to be the most productive player in the attack. He has assisted 3 goals so far, which is only second to Fabio's 4 assists for New York Red Bulls. The 6'4", and I relate to that, dude, because I am just tall and kind of lanky. But Casper, say his name. Say his name for me. Can you say it?
Shabelko.
Wow.
Let's go.
Wow. You've been practicing.
Let's go, boy.
Good. So Casper
I've actually
Shabelko.
said it in my brain about 30 times.
I was like, it's like Mike Krzyzewski. Like, it doesn't make any sense to us Americans, but that's just how you say it. So Casper with a C. I like the Casper with a C. I think I'm gonna name my next son Casper with a C. Shabelko, though, he's the main goal scorer. He was actually one of the, I think, top 5 people slated to win the Golden Boot this year as far as goal scoring is concerned. He's the main goal scorer. You may remember the Slim Reaper from that beautiful counterattack he had on Inter Miami for us to lose 2-1. Was that the last game of the MLS is back tournament? It was in there somewhere. But he's already managed 3 this season, and he looks like he's primed for a pretty solid season as far as productivity goes. So keep an eye on that. Now let's move forward to our little brother, which we were able to really kind of evenly draw against last season as far as 1 win, 1 loss for each side. We're talking about Orlando City. This year might be a little more rough because they added Pato. And, of course, the man we hate to talk about because we hate the fact we don't have him on our team, Mr. Daryl Dike. He is now back with the club after being loaned out, shredding over in England. Was it Barnsley? Yeah. And he's back. So, dear Lord, baby Jesus, pray for us. We're going to play them in a couple weeks, and could be tough. Now, to be fair, right, the summer transfer window is open now. It is expected by many people that DK will be acquired by some European club. I think the price tag they threw on him was $20 million, and I mean honestly, that's chump change to a lot of European clubs. So who knows how much longer he will be there? We could have had him. We took Robbie. We took Dylan. Dylan's no longer here. We still love him though, buddy. But yeah, fun times in a couple weeks. Next home game, I'm looking forward to this a lot because I was out of town. We made an agreement when we started this whole thing. We bought our season tickets that if either of us can't go, we just surrender our ticket to the other. So I surrendered my ticket. First time we're going to sit in this actual seat we're supposed to be in, and I wasn't able to be there. So for this Orlando City game, it's going to be the first game where I will see the season tickets that I bought a year and a half ago, actually probably 2 years ago. But Inter Miami likes to make us wait for things. So I am really excited for this. This is our next home game. It's going to be an absolute banger. I'm calling it a 2-1 win right now.
What is Copa del Sol right now?
It's 2-2.
2-2?
Yeah.
Well,
this is really going to be the tiebreaker. But unfortunately, we're having how do I say it? We're having a horrible season because we had a horrible season last year. We're playing as we usually do. Yeah. It's going to be a tough game, but also unknown to a lot of people. Inter Miami did apparently have a scrimmage with Toronto yesterday, which would be Saturday, June 12th. Apparently, Carranza scored twice. Apparently, Jay Chapman scored once, and we beat Toronto. So that's kind of cool to see. Both teams, Toronto's having a rough start. We're having a rough start. We're like, hey, man, we both suck. Do you guys maybe want to play each other and work on this whole team sport thing? And they're like, yeah, dude, we're down with that. And hell, we got out with a win. So props to the lads. Now let's see what we can do next week against DC and the following against Orlando.
Big match against Orlando. I know everybody's pumped to be back at the stadium, cheering, going like crazy again. That is going to be our first match. So we're going to go ahead and bring a live show from the parking lot. So appreciate everybody for being open to that. There's going to be some mischief. We're going to go ahead and say we might have some red cups sitting there, maybe something else. Go ahead and swing by. You may see yourself on the Inter Miami Podcast, Instagram, live TV. So do your thing. But as Jay said, Orlando City is sitting right now in the third slot with Daryl DK back, where we didn't miss once, but we didn't miss twice. And, we missed 2 grand times on Daryl, where he could have offered a big lift to our club and a lot of cheddar as well. And sitting behind Orlando City is NYCFC in that 4th slot, which actually for them is a little bit deceiving because they have some goal scorers on their team. Both Jesus Medina as well as Valentin Castellanos are playing absolutely out of their skull. Jesus right now has the 3rd most goals in the MLS with 5, as well as Valentin is sitting in the league with 4 goals, tied with about 8 other players right now, but they are a high-scoring octane offense. They're sitting 4th right now in the Eastern Conference. Right behind them is Montreal, who clearly Montreal is enjoying that lovely South Florida weather where they don't have to travel up to Canada territory.
Over to Canadian
territory.
And shout out Toronto. Toronto's over in Tampa. So they're both like, hey, we can't play in Canada. Where should we play in the U.S.? Oh, let's go to the place with the craziest people, no laws, no rule. Yeah, let's go to Florida.
I don't blame them. And they picked honestly one of the most beautiful stadiums in the league. That's right. That's our stadium. But Montreal is, doing pretty well. They stumbled out of the gate. They kicked our ass in our home stadium. Played very, very well. We don't need to bring that game back up. That's in our past. We don't need to do this. But sitting behind Montreal is the Columbus Crew, which we had mentioned actually still to this day has no losses to their name, which is super surprising. They have 5 ties as well as 2 wins. Very odd to see them there in the 6th. Oh, I'm sorry. Never mind. That's not Columbus Crew. That is Nashville that I'm talking about right now. The Columbus Crew are sitting in the 6th slot, just as the 6th slot goes, but Nashville is the 2nd team who does not have a loss to their name thus far this year. Looking at the 8th seed right now is Atlanta. Atlanta United is one of those clubs. They are our second and secondary rival, I guess you could say. I am going up to the Orlando United match. I got a
Orlando
couple buddies.
United. Are you smoking crack again?
Should I put the pipe down?
Put the pipe down, man.
Are you going to go to that game yet? Did you figure it out
Bro,
yet?
I'm traveling
It's
8
Wednesday.
times before. Thank God our company does not keep track of PTO because I'm abusing the hell out of that PTO policy this year. Are you
Worse
driving?
than I do, typically.
Are you driving?
I'm not driving, bro. I'm flying, dude.
Of course you're not. Of course you're not.
You were probably super bummed when
When
you
is
realized.
this, dude? I have no idea. I'm flying to Mexico
September
in
8th.
4 weeks. I'm not even.
September 8th, dude. You got months. Plan it out. Do your thing. Do something.
Sure.
Do something.
Let's go to Atlanta. I love it. Love Atlanta.
Let's go to Atlanta, dude. It should be fun. Joseph Martinez. Let's do it, man. This team is probably one of those teams that underperformed thus far this year, along the same lines as LAFC, to be honest with you.
Well, it's going to come down to can Joseph Martinez find his form this year, right? I mean, he's coming off a ugly ACL injury, but he looks pretty damn good. as far as the timeline and his recovery goes. So that's going to be the thing to watch all season. Does he return to his form where he wins the Golden Boot of the MLS like he did in, 2018? Yep, 2019. My years are all blurred. I don't even know. Time is a construct. I know the pandemic's real, but I don't even know what day it is.
Well, there's no way he wins the Golden Boot this year, but
well, no,
let's just
because
get
Jay
him back
Chapman's
to form.
going to win the Golden Boot.
Is he about to go on a tirade after his performance in Toronto?
Once you get that first one. Once you get that first one in your scrimmage, man,
all right, buddy.
you just start dropping goals.
Once you get that first one in practice, things
Watch
really
the man score like 2.
I hope so, man. We need the help. But sitting behind Atlanta United is the New York Red Bulls, followed by DC United, who is on the up and up. And you know who's sitting right behind them? That's right. That's Inter Miami. We're sitting at the 11th seed right now with 8 points, and we are not looking good with the remainder of our schedule, at least for the next 8 games. There's no bueno.
Let's go Herons. I got pure heron running through these bloods.
I bet you do. Anyway, sitting behind them is a club that Jay touched on. It seems like we had scrimmaged them yesterday where we did win 3-0 off of Carranza as well as Jay Chapman, it sounds.
I don't know if it was 3-0. I don't know if they scored. I just heard the Inter Miami scores because all this stuff is so closed door, hard to find out.
Oh, I see.
I know that we scored at least 3 goals.
Got it. Well, Toronto is sitting at 12th, Chicago sitting at the 13th, which unfortunately they did beat us 1-0. And following Chicago is the 14th slot, which is one of our 2 victories this year, which is Cincinnati. And kind of weird. We beat Cincinnati, they beat Montreal. So who knows? That's just the MLS as it goes.
Indeed. I mean, it's a whole crapshoot. It really is a whole crapshoot. It's still, this is what the first quarter review. We'll probably do a mid-season review, but there is still plenty time in this season to come together, get cohesive, turn around and start getting results. There is it's not going to be like last year where you only had to get to that 10 spot to get into the playoffs. Right now, we're going to need to get into that number 7 spot, which is basically every week growing in distance, especially considering there are several teams on the Eastern Conference that are still a game behind Inter Miami, but still time. I tell Alex all the time, man, anything can happen in this league. Do not think that is all over at this point. I mean, it very well could be. It honestly very well could be, but there's still time to turn it around. There could be some mid-season acquisitions, sales as far as Pizarro goes, maybe bringing in Mateus or another DP. Of course, we're going to have Freddie Gibbs coming in. Not Freddie. Why did I say Freddie Gibbs? Oh, my goodness. Kieran Gibbs coming in. And then, of course, Marsman coming in for help in goal relief for us. But stay tuned. And we do want to pivot away from the MLS. We do want to talk about something that I think every single listener should be excited about. Doesn't matter what country you're from. We're talking about the summer of soccer. The only good thing to come out of this pandemic was everything was canceled. Not that that's good, but everything is resuming currently this summer. So we've got a lot of the United States men's national team going on. Had an excellent win in the CONCACAF Nations League, the first ever CONCACAF Nations League, where they came out, got a win against Mexico. We're about to go through that, but stay alert, stay aware, because the CONCACAF Gold Cup will be officially kicking off on July 10th. If you're a season ticket holder, you will have pre-access to the Gold Cup preliminary rounds. So to all our Trinidad and Tobago fans, to all our Cuba fans, to all our French Guyana fans, if you want to go see your squad play, you don't have to go too far. It's happening right here at Dry Pink Stadium in Miami. But once this preliminary round gets figured out, once the seeds finally get finalized, this thing will kick off on July 10th. Also, for all of our South American listeners, as you're aware, 2021 Copa America will be kicking off. Check that. It just kicked off 25 minutes ago. It is 5:25 p.m. This thing just got live at 5 p.m. Brazil taking on Venezuela. And, of course, you got the Euros going on. You've got the women's national team also playing exhibition matches. It is non-stop soccer over here in America. It is beautiful. I love to see it. But what I loved to see the most was a team that I've talked so much about with like-minded individuals who love the sport or with friends. And we are literally at a major turning point in American soccer with this young squad we have, where the majority of these players are currently playing in Europe or came up through a European team's academy system, and we're starting to see results. This is the most excited I've been about as far as American national soccer goes since the 2010 World Cup. Undoubtedly so. We come out in a very, very chippy game against Mexico at Denver. As the game went on, objects were thrown on the field, drinks were thrown on the field. It was very, very chippy, to say the least. But this was the final of the first ever inaugural CONCACAF Nation League. And we were finally able to see the trio of Christian Pulisic, Gio Reyna, Weston McKennie take control as the leaders of this team, really step up. I obviously love Christian Pulisic. I'm a Chelsea fan. Undoubtedly love that kid so much. Than lives in Pennsylvania, not far from where Christian is from. He loves Pulisic as well, but he hates Chelsea, so it's kind of fun for me. But Gio Reyna, stud young, 18 years old, man. He's only 18 years old. He's playing for Borussia Dortmund. He's coming out here making impacts, man. And, of course, Weston McKennie, the midfielder who plays with Cristiano Ronaldo at Juventus. But that's not all. I mean, you look at like Serginho Dest, you look at Brendan Aronson, Reggie Cannon. Man, there is so much talent on this team. I am so excited. I said it before. I will quote myself now. 2026 World Cup. Mark this shit down. 2026 World Cup. The United States will make it to the quarterfinals of the 2026 World Cup. I don't know if it happens this year. There's potential, but I honestly, I don't know if they're quite there yet. But 2026, watch this team.
Well, you heard it there. I mean,
sorry, is that tough to? Sorry,
I don't know. I was just off in the Google world right now. I don't know what Jay said, but he said it all. It was bravo to the USA men's national team for doing what they did against Mexico. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say about that.
Did I crush that so much? Okay.
No, yeah, we're just going to go ahead and move on. I mean,
well, hold on, real quick. Just say I need to go some more. Anyway, Weston McKennie won the man of the match. I mean, absolute phenomenal game played. Christian Pulisic scored the winning goal. It was a penalty. He runs over, rips his shirt off. I mean, iconic picture, hushing the crowd down. And then Gio Reyna was also a really pivotal part of this winning side. And there's only one starter in the winning side that plays in the MLS. And Brendan Aronson used to, but now he's playing for RB Salzburg. The only starter, the only one starter that is there really is Sebastian Leggett. And he plays for the Galaxy. He's there. This was absolutely phenomenal. You go ahead and go through the timeline because I feel like you need to get on this.
Dude, I'm on it just enough. I think we already covered. I don't think we need to go back into time. I think that we understand that we did just win against Mexico and we did pull off a W against Costa Rica. And I'm sure a lot of people are wondering what's next for the U.S. men's national team.
I'll tell you what's next, buddy. Here's what's next. Championships. And actually, I don't know if that's next. But yeah, 4-0 win versus Costa Rica. Real quick, if I can do this, Brendan Aronson, Daryl Dike, Reggie Cannon, and Gio Reyna with a penalty were the scorers in that. Going back a little bit more, I forgot to say this, but I'm super impressed, especially going down like the first minute or two to Mexico, that this team fought back not only twice to equalize, but a third time to win. So there was a lot more here, but yeah, I guess I got a little too passionate about it. So we're moving on. But next for the U.S. is the Gold Cup. Again, it's starting on July 10th. Okay, the preliminary rounds will be before that, but July 8th will be the next United States match in that. Let me see. We are TBD, which means we're going to get one of the preliminary teams that play at Inter Miami Stadium. Hopefully it's French Guiana or some small Caribbean island that does not have a lot of manpower.
Alrighty. And with that comes to an end of the show. Appreciate everybody for coming by, swinging around. This is Alex.
Tighten up, man.
I don't know where
Finish
I am right
strong.
now. I'm just
Tighten
off in the
up.
Twitter world, and appreciate everybody coming to us, listening to our bonus episode about the MLS quarterly review. We appreciate you stopping in. Go ahead and follow us. All social medias. Inter Miami Podcast.
We
on
lost him,
Facebook.
folks. We literally have lost him. We're about an
Instagram.
hour. We're about an hour and 15 minutes in. That's how long you will get the attention of Alex Papachores.
Man, it can't be much longer.
He was dialed in there for a minute, though.
But follow Pink Smoke. Let us know if you want to go ahead and subscribe. Shoot us a DM. Do that whole thing. And we'll be back with you soon. Appreciate it.
As we end every episode, Vamos Miami.
Vamos, Miami.